Hey, welcome everyone. How you doing?
Good day, sirs and madams.
To your
And
internet
another
bric-a-brac.
good welcome to another historic, legendary fan mail receiving episode of
Oh,
Computer AF. We are elated by a recent fan mail, uh,
yes. We
which
had,
isn't expected, but is enjoyed, viewers.
it's appreciated. Yeah, should I just get right into it? It's Alex from Orlando.
Ooh, Alex from Orlando, what feedback do you have for us? Please make it positive.
I was afraid at
I
first,
have a
but
fragile ego. Yeah.
yes, you and Ann are amazing together. And I wrote back. I said, "Oh, that's so kind of you to say. Thank you so much. Any specific aspects of the show that you liked?" And
I like that you dug for more specifics. I like that.
yes, and they were. He was like, "You both trust each other. It shows." Oh, okay. Yeah, didn't pick out anything specific exactly, but at least you know, hey,
He's
that's
feeling
something.
the chemistry. He's feeling the chemistry. And
It's like Led Zeppelin. When the four of them got together, they created this new fifth thing by the combination of all four of them, and that's what we're doing. Me and you. We get together and we create a new third thing born out of
yeah,
trust and chemistry.
and bric-a-brac.
And bric-a-brac. And
Yes. Speaking of bric-a-brac and electronic waste,
forgot my camera. I just turned my camera on finally.
I mean, I've
Or
seen
not my
you.
camera, my light, my light.
Oh, I was like, I'm seeing you. I don't, do you have another camera? Do you have another second angle there?
Well, my brain is coming
TV
online
man?
slowly.
Yeah, so today I was on a meeting and I have two sets of headphones because I have Android and iPhone, right? And these Samsung earbuds were gifted to me like 5 years ago and they just kept on ticking. They've never lost
Wow.
battery and they just like I've never lost them and whatever, but today was the day that they went into the river because one of them was
Oh.
intact, but my puppy uh,
Uh,
when I dropped them, I didn't realize that they were out of the case. I just picked up the case, not looking in it, and the puppy was like, "Ooh, for me to chew on." So I could continue soldiering on with one weird, like one and then not the other. I'm not going to, but if
we all
anybody's,
have to continue soldiering on.
yeah, if anybody wants one 5-year-old Galaxy Bud, just know that I'll ship it to you.
In years gone by, I worked for your mobile website, mobile FOMO, right? Was it
Yes,
mobile?
yes,
And one of the things that I got from one of the mobile FOMO events from back in the day was a glove that allowed me to typey on the computer
yes.
with the glove still on, which was I couldn't find other. I mean, there are other gloves like that, but they cost money, and I got the mobile FOMO gloves for free. So, but yeah, and eventually I lost one, and so I was soldiering on with just one of them, typey.
Like Michael Jackson style, just like
Yes.
eat it.
It worked out great. And so I had that. I think I still have it somewhere. It's in a jacket pocket in the closet somewhere, or perhaps one that I'm wearing lately. Who knows? But it's
Wow.
around.
I think you should bedazzle it on the top so it's like Michael Jackson-y and then you can still text.
I'm all for bedazzling, just as a
Yeah.
general.
I always wanted one and I never made the purchase due to just knowing how messy it would be.
Hmm.
Um, should I be in control of like putting words on things I wear and little extra bell embellishes?
Yeah.
I'm gonna save that for my golden years, you know?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. All right.
Because
You remind.
I've already gotten into the caftans, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't need to add that. I'll wait till like 70s and then just really go for it.
Then really do the yeah
The
the
bedazzling.
the bedazzling on your various clothing items. That's something that Burning Man people do too, though. I had this entire jumpsuit of bedazzly stuff for a while there, and the bedazzly sometimes I'll catch a little bedazzle like on the floor from having fallen off. Like it's just like, and a bunch of it ended up in the desert, which was like goes against the one of the primary things of Burning Man, which is
Leave
do
no
not,
trace.
yeah,
Yeah.
leave no trace. So I left lots of bedazzly traces, and but a friend made it for me, and I couldn't, specifically for Burning Man, we just kind of had a disconnect with regard to the fact that the bedazzly stuff could end up in the desert and wore it anyway, and still showing up periodically all these years later. But I
Oh,
know, bad. It's bad.
sorry, turtles or birds or yeah. I mean, I don't think you're alone in that. I mean,
Oh
there's
yeah, yeah,
inevitably some stuff that happens, and especially this last year with all the mud. But
that's
um,
right. Yeah.
I think what's hot on my like news and
Yes, the hot
my
goss. What's
my hot
happening?
goss is just all these tech layoffs we keep seeing.
Ah, for the love of, yeah, it's bad. It's Meta, it's Google, Amazon. A friend of mine came to me just yesterday. His dad got laid off. His dad works at Activision, which is owned by Microsoft, and lost his job, has 2 months of severance, and it's just wow. I mean, what are your thoughts on why this is occurring? And I mean, we hear all this good stuff about the economy. The economy's improving, inflation going down, employment going up. But when it comes to the tech and the layoffs, we're not seeing that. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Right. Well, I think it's something that we see every year. I think on the heels of a very rough year last year, I think it's something that still gets clicks, so it's still going to get news that there are these layoffs. It doesn't say, "Oh, we've cut these amount of jobs and then we've added these others." And it's not uncommon, especially in the larger tech companies, for them to overhire. They often will overhire almost so as to block competition from getting access to talent. We see this in engineering departments, but inevitably, these jobs aren't needed. So those jobs must be shed to make room for roles and expansions where they're needed. So it's stinks that this is how some people have to start out the year.
Mm,
But the good news is the economy is showing signs of coming out of its glut. And I also think that this is the best time of year to be on the market versus the holidays. People are more likely to, I think, get hired statistically now than other times in the year. So the trick is to just get back out there as quickly as possible and, use some of these cool tools that we have at our disposal, right? Like
yeah.
we've got all of these AI tools. I did a segment last year on some of these tools. I remember one I was really impressed with was JobScan. You know, we think of AI as something that's going to take our jobs, right? But really, it can help us in this specific instance because there are tools that automate this very manual and, let's be honest, debilitating process. You're filling out forms, you're writing cover letters, which no one wants to read and no one wants to write. So
Yeah.
you can use, yeah, exactly. Like, when have you been fired up to write a cover letter?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I've heard some people say, well, you've got to write that cover letter. You have to send it in. If you don't send in a cover letter, then you're not going to be one that they take a look at. But never once have I heard one of these people who's doing the hiring say uh, that they like reading a cover letter. So I'm just,
I never have required it, and I have, in fact, never really wanted to read them because I'm looking at your experience. I'm looking at, are you a job jumper? Are you somebody that's happy being a contract person? Are you, doing the kind of work that I need experience in? I'm more concerned about that. But there are so many tools out there for those who, are applying for those jobs that require it. Some require it, which I'm like, really? Okay. But you can use tools like Google Bard or ChatGPT to write them for you using keywords from the job description. And there's a ton of YouTube videos on this. I actually looked into it. I was like, wow, it's like 3 steps.
I was just, you mentioned that. I was just talking last week with a friend who shall definitely go remain nameless. And they were talking to me about the different jobs that they've applied for, like a half a dozen jobs in a week. And that for each one of them, they just went to Chat GPT and they they had specific chat in Chat GPT that's specifically for the writing of the cover letters or whatever. And all they have to do is drop in the job description and it creates the cover letter. And they even said they don't change all that much of it. They do change some. You've got to change various things and make it fit your style and make it fit the job and all that. But they were just pumping them out, it sounded like. And so who needs it is what I wonder, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And so I don't know if I've shared this before, but I've had candidates this last year submit cover letters that I did not require. And the only one that I asked them point blank, did you use AI to write this? And the only one that answered truthfully is the one that I've put forward for, I mean, other reasons, obviously. But of the few that I asked, one denied it. And it just was like, okay, sure.
Yeah, right, right.
Because what you're really showing me as an employer, if you're using an AI cover letter, is you're showing me that you know how to use your time efficiently. You know how to use tools. You're
Yep.
going above and beyond to show me that you are not going to waste time. And my time is, and my company is my client's time. So of course I'm going to want somebody who can do that. So that person went forward to the next round. Whereas I think in other cases I was like, there were other issues. But I think if it's required, you got to do it, right? And why not use the tools? And so tools like JobScam will look
Yeah.
at the job listing, look at your resume, and in cases like certain cases will help you rewrite your resume for certain roles so that you're
Mm.
keyword matched because these bigger companies, it's just a matter of it's a matching game. We want these four keywords. Do you have these four keywords? And so it's just like using the computer to talk to the computer. It's really
Yeah.
put the robot friends to use, and you don't have to necessarily pay for a lot of these tools like Google Bard. And um, you can even use it for your freaking LinkedIn image. My LinkedIn and Twitter images at this point in time are AI generated.
My social media, for my Substack blog posts and for my LinkedIn newsletter, the images for them, even if I already have an image that specifically makes sense more, I actually start to generate AI produced ones and put them somewhere in there and say, hey, I'm, writing a story about entrepreneurs and life insurance or something, and here's the image that Dolly generated for me or ChatGPT generated for me. And it'll be like a woman and a man sitting in their yard on a park bench under a tree, but then their bureau from their bedroom is sitting next to them in the yard. Just weird things like anyway. And I'll
I like how weird it is. Yeah, you can
yeah,
also use Canva. Canva has a really easy AI generated image tool that I've used for blogs and for my column at Grit Daily.
nice.
I think it's shameless plug. Check out
Shameless plug for the
gritdaily.com.
for the Grit Daily folks.
Exactly. We want to give a shout out to our hosts, but the thing is, like, I think as long as you give credit and say image via whatever, like, who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, it's all
Use
good.
use the tools that are available to you, whether it's as a job seeker, a marketer, whatever. Like, I think the rules that we used to follow are no more.
Yeah, no,
Um,
totally. And one thing that occurs to me as you talk about the AI is and how it relates to the job layoffs and the needing to get a new job is that a lot of the companies that are making the layoffs, whether it's Google or Amazon or whatever, they even say specifically as they're issuing a statement about the layoffs, they're saying that they are concentrating more on the new hot areas like AI. That's where they're focusing the new hires. That's where they're focusing their efforts a little bit more. And then other less sort of important areas are the ones that are getting the layoffs. So it's just like, I don't know, there's kind of some irony in that. I don't know if you saw that, but
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a boogeyman,
yeah.
it's a thing to fear and, I'm not afraid of it. I think, there are bad applications like what we saw this week with our BFF T Swift.
Oh man. Yeah.
Some very graphic images with her likeness going across the web, and it's humbling in a way because someone with that amount of fandom and resource can have that happen, and it proliferates. you have to think about the revenge people and all that, all the things we've seen and what resources do they have. And it's
Were they
it's
able to did they take it down? I assume they did take it
I
down at
think
that point.
I think yes, off of like the original post, but that caught very quickly because I think there was a whiff of realness to it
Yeah.
that it's been hard to quash all of it. And the thing is, like, this is going to keep happening, unfortunately. I don't know what
Yeah.
the solution is. I don't know what the ultimate solution is other than to just sort of use your gut and say, is this too good to be true? Is this
Yeah.
really someone who was such a wholesome image and beloved by her fans? Is she going to do this?
Yeah. Right.
And I fear for the lives of anybody that tries to do this to Queen Bey.
Oh, good Lord. Watch out.
Bayhive, you have the full fury of the Bayhive behind you.
I
Like,
mean, if they can do it to Taylor, though,
I
can't.
know you would think she's untouchable, and I think it's unfortunate because she's just such a beloved and honestly seems like such a great person in
Totally.
everything you
Yeah.
see of her and takes care of people. And so whoever did this had obviously nefarious objectives, but I don't think that this is something that's going to go away, unfortunately. I think we're going to see more deepfakes over time. We've seen it with President Biden. There's going to be used in the elections, I'm sure, for trying to fool voters to do certain things. And so, there was a video making the rounds last year, I remember, of families being told to have passwords and to use passwords with each other. So if there was a phone call asking for money, I thought that was great advice anyway. Just, in a
Yeah.
kidnap situation or some kind of like, is this real? To have a private word you don't put in online or anywhere with each other, which I've also shared with my family. I think my family knows me well enough to know I'm not going to call ask for money. Also, I know my brother would never give me money.
Yep. Yep. I think it's just important in those situations. And so many of us have either been the victim of it or have, s- or have seen it. So yeah, the important thing is just to err on the side of, hey, this has to be a scam.
Well, slow
Um,
it down. I think that's my biggest advice to people that have gotten these sort of sensational requests or AI driven scams, especially if they're over the phone. The first thing they want to do is create a false sense of urgency, time urgency, like we've got to respond to this right away. There's very few things in life, unless you're an ER doctor,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
like life and death got to respond, and so they try to first of all rush you so you're not thinking, and then they try to isolate you.
Yeah. And there's
um
certain types of scams that they definitely try and hit you more with, like the whole get some Apple cards for me or some, like cards.
Nobody
Yeah.
needs to get a gift card for
Gift
anybody,
cards. Yeah.
for a life and death situation, for unless you've got a kid and the kid needs to buy something online or go to an event that doesn't take
Yeah.
cash. Like
Right.
I can't really see that there's a emergency gift card situation either, but I've seen very intelligent people get sucked in by this,
Oh yeah, I
especially.
mean, some of these scammers are, as my dad would have said, are from hunger. Did your dad ever say that from, these people are from hunger? Like they like if
No, but that's like evocative.
yeah, well, it's a way of saying that God, these people are just like awful or not up to snuff, not very good at what they do. If you had like a quarterback that was throwing interceptions a lot, my dad would say, "Oh, his play was from hunger." Like it was just awful, not very good. And so some of these scammers are just like, I mean, obviously they're in Malaysia or wherever, and many of them are in a big building and they're in bad conditions and they are forced to do this work or get sent to the mines or whatever it may be. I'm not even That's probably accurate to some extent. The New York Times did an article about them, but I mean, in one case, one of them tried to pretend to be my cousin, and she's in her 60s, and she clearly must have clicked the wrong thing and was, it didn't turn out well. Anyway, the person, sent me an email, or not an email, sent me a Facebook chat and tried to get me to give them $500 to turn it into $10,000 of crypto, but pretending to be my cousin Linda. And Linda didn't even know about it. I texted her right away. And they tried to prove that they were Linda by sending me her profile picture, as if that's going to prove to me that they were Linda. it was from hunger. It was like, so I'm like, I was almost like dissatisfied. I'm like, my scamming experience here is not as good as it should be. And you could have used much better tactics to try to dupe me into giving you money. So anyway, so I just feel like there's different levels of scamming and some are not very good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of
Sorry.
no, no, you're right though, and a lot of them pass that first sniff test of, is this a real person? I had a friend get sort of spoofed on Telegram last year, and conversationally, a few brief interactions didn't tip me off because the name matched, and asked how my day was, and I just sort of ranted and was like, "Oh, that sucks." And then um come the third casual interaction, um asked for, "Hey, I need some Bitcoin." And I was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah. Yeah.
come
Not,
on.
not,
Hey, at least I got to kind of whine for a minute." And then I tell this person that, "Hey, you've been spoofed." And they were like, how do I even shut this down? Because the
yeah.
account, by the time I spotted it, which again, I mean, I maybe said like, "Oh, I'm tired." I mean, there was nothing I was really worried about sharing there. But by the time I realized it, that person had already blocked me. And so I couldn't get the follow-up information. Also, Telegram, you're not really going to have any kind of support. But I think having your communications generally with a service or somewhere that, is vetted is always helpful. I think Facebook's had a persistent problem with people creating fake accounts, Instagram especially. There
Oh
was
yeah.
a few rough months there. I remember when I felt like almost every friend on Instagram gets spoofed, and those accounts didn't get shut down, and their ultimate solution was pay us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will say, when I got my account spoofed last year, I reported it was shut down in less than 12 hours. So I'm like, "Oh,
That's good.
I guess I am paying you money, because this is the benefit to me, is that I get that support," which kind of stinks that that's our solution, is for consumers to pay.
And one other thing, we were talking about the whole job market thing and applying for jobs. One of the types of scams that you see is people reaching out to you saying, "Oh, we have seen you on our database, and we see that you are an IT professional." I got that one this morning. "You are an experienced
Oh,
IT professional, and we would like to offer you the job. All you have to do is go over to WhatsApp and go onto WhatsApp, and you will talk to our hiring manager, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and they will give you the information, and it will be your job, and you're going to be great at it." And it's just like, that's not the way this works. There's very
have
few.
you
Nobody's ever liked me that much. All right.
have you ever worked with anything high tech?
Yes.
I rewatched that old ITC Tech commercial this week, and it's still good. And then the guy's like, "No." But that was probably the most like enduring thing from the ITC Tech, that whole thing. I mean, not a bad idea. Like, I
Yeah.
think it burned in flames, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, something seems to, that's another thing. Something seems too good to be true. It almost always is.
Oh yeah.
And we had to, notify a lot of our clients this last week about some recent Facebook scams that come through as notifications. Your page is in violation. It's like, well, that's not how Facebook communicates with you, by the way.
Yeah. No,
Like,
not at all.
but again, slow it down, check the source,
Yeah.
tell your local person in your life, the geek in your life, find the geek in your life, and then ask them, and they will probably tell you no.
This is why I like talking to you about these things, because you always come back down to some like 4 or 5 good, quick tips and tricks that can help you deal with whatever the thing may be, and ultimately reboot your computer. Because that was one of the first bits of advice that you ever gave me, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and I still use it today, and I actually use it fairly regularly with people who have no idea, non-tech people who will come along and be like, "Well, I just can't get this one thing to work on the phone. It's not working." I'm like, "Well, just reboot it, and 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, it'll be fixed." But and
Let's build on that and check the connection. Check the
yeah,
connection. That's like number two. Well, I worked in Apple tech support in college, and that was 85% of my calls.
yeah,
Check is it plugged in? Check the connection. Less so now because we have Bluetooth and all that. That's its other.
yeah.
form of whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it looks right now maybe like things are bad. I think because those headlines tend to win over the good. But I do think
Yeah.
there's good happening in the economy. There are big announcements coming like next week. I'm very excited for the Apple Vision Pro.
Oh yeah. Well, we should have a whole little Apple segment of the show here and talk about the Vision Pro and maybe briefly mention the whole Europe thing with the App Store, how they want to allow more competition, et cetera, if you have thoughts on that. But yeah, tell me about Vision Pro.
Yeah, I think the Vision Pro, I watched the 12-minute video and I was very excited and impressed because it looked to me like you could actually it's not really VR. It's spatial computing is what they're calling it, but it's also a departure from the headsets we've seen in that it looked to me in the video like you could actually see through it. So you're not completely blinded by this giant piece of hardware. And I think if any company, major tech company, has a shot at breaking through to the masses, it's Apple. I mean, I will say that the price tag is steep, and I think that a lot of people are going to
Yeah.
be waiting to see how it goes before they'll purchase it. And I think it will, cost will go down over time if it proves to be something that people want. But I think it's going to launch with, they said in the video, 1 million apps. So
Wow.
think about that. And I mean, they're clearly pulling over from the App Store, but I mean,
Yeah.
has there been any other headset with such software support or so many options? Probably not.
No, I did hear that there were some companies like maybe it was Google, but maybe you can tell me that aren't sort of participating in this first iteration or that.
Oh, yeah, Netflix. Netflix was like, nah, we're good. Google, I think YouTube also said, no, we're fine. But others are like, sure, we'll do it because this is
Hmm.
another way for people to enjoy content. I think the personas and the calling, like, so if you call someone from another headset, so if you have two Vision Pro people calling each other, you can take on a like an avatar persona situation, which to me was like a little creepy, but I think
Hmm.
um I honestly think that the overall experience looks pretty flawless, and if this is another, and you know, it's a lot of this gesture, and if this is another way for me to get work done and maybe not stare at a tiny screen all day, maybe that would be interesting to me. But I
Yeah.
have a very firm rule that I do not buy the first round of anything, because you just want to let them get the kinks out and
Yeah.
scan the battery life and figure
Mhm.
it out with someone else's dime. But this one was tempting to me, I have to be honest.
And you got $1 trillion company, and it's going to be able to eat whatever costs come with the first several months of rolling out a new thing like this. Um, and I'm fairly confident that it will eventually become a larger and larger part of sort of mainstream media consumption. Um,
Right. And there are exceptions, right? Like I remember when the Bondi Blue iMac came out and that like blew everyone's minds. And the first revisions had an infrared port. And infrared ports worked with things at that time like your Palm Pilot or your other devices. Like that was a way you could just make them talk and it was cool and there were no cables. But then they quickly did away with that because I don't think most people wanted it.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I
No.
was in the yeah, I was in the 10% that was like, cool, infrared. But so those sorts of things happen as time goes on. They'll figure out which ports aren't necessarily
Totally.
needed.
Yeah.
So I think with this, I think what's going to happen is we're probably going to see better battery life in the newer versions as, you know, that technology improves. We're going to see fixes, subtle fixes, but I have no doubt that they have vetted and tested this as much as anyone
Yeah.
possibly could. Because I mean, I am ex Apple, so keep in mind I look at them with rose-colored glasses as I carry my Android
Just,
phone, but
just to briefly touch upon Apple not being looked at with rose-colored glasses by European regulators. So this is such an interesting topic, I'm sure. But just to briefly get through it, basically Apple is looked at as this huge, big, dominating company that isn't allowing proper competition. And in the U.S., there's a little bit more of an appetite to let companies be yeah, a little bit more sort of monopoly-esque. But in Europe, they kind of, frown upon that a little bit more. And I know Apple is rolling out different ways to allow competition through its app store. Or I'm not sure exactly how that works. Over in Europe right now, I was wondering if you had any thoughts in that area as well.
I probably should,
Yeah.
but I was more sort of taken this week by the AI legislation the EU is looking
Oh, what are
uh,
what are
to
they
pass.
doing?
Like they want to pass like very strict rules as far as like health and education and uses of
Hmm.
AI in these
Ooh.
applications, which won't affect most US consumers directly, but will indirectly probably get our Congress to start looking, US legislators to start going, oh, hey, maybe we should do something about this unchecked rodeo of.
Not allowing generative AI to create Taylor Swift videos, maybe. I don't, something like that,
I
maybe.
mean, there's no stopping that train, but I think that
Yeah.
there is a belief, I think, on most people that they don't understand how this is going to end, and
Yeah.
I don't think it is going to end. I think we're going to live with it, and I think we're going to evolve with it if we do it right. But I think the EU tends to be the leader in that type of legislation. If they figure out how to
The adult
solve,
in the room.
yeah, I mean, and they're more willing to make bolder steps, less corporate motivation, I guess. There,
Yeah.
good for them. Maybe a little less corrupt, but I think that it's anything that's going to make competition more fair, I think is good. I think if they are able to succeed in that realm, maybe that we'll take a cue from that. That would be great. Because
Mhm.
antitrust lawsuits are very difficult. They go on for years and they don't often work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as we sort of get closer to wrapping up here, I wanted to check in with you on your various media consumption and your which shows you
Uh,
be watching.
I got weirdly somehow sucked in to watch the show Reacher.
Oh yeah, baby. Reacher.
And I mean, I think it should be called like Big Dude Easy on the Eyes. I think it's the real title should be. And the shocker
Oh
is that
yeah.
I think my husband got into it. Season one, I really like. Season two, I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
not so much is good. And then there's that other
Yeah, it's
Mandy.
okay. I'm kind of just like waiting for the big fight. Give me another big fight. Reacher
Yeah,
beats people. Yes.
yeah. Also, like, are you homeless? Do you
Yeah.
where do you like? He
Where
only
do you
really
live?
showers. He showers in like the sex scenes, and that's it. Um, and
Which is
like,
fairly often. So
yeah,
he's clean
yeah. And
mostly.
I feel like him loving blues music is also a forced plot line. I'm like, all right,
There was an
okay.
interesting version of Crazy on You by our very good friend's Heart, who
Mhm.
we have been to enjoy the music of at different
And
times.
America's Cup, yeah,
Yeah.
that was an amazing concert. My
Oh
God.
yeah. I mean, she Nancy Wilson, Anne and Nancy Wilson, just incredible.
And
With Jason
Bonham.
Bonham
Yeah.
doing the drums. I mean,
That's as
come on.
close as you and I will get to seeing Led Zeppelin in our lifetime. And we've also seen Robert Plant. We've seen
Yeah,
Robert Plant. I've seen him 3 times now.
yeah.
And but
Well,
he's on
the best part about seeing Robert Plant with you was, you can be vociferous. So you exclaimed your happiness at a few different points, and he specifically looked at you because because
Oh, he looked at me. He looked at me. Thank you for reminding me about that glorious moment.
he looked at you. He knew where that came from, and he looked at you over on the side where we were in good
Uh,
seats. We weren't that far from him.
yeah, we were in the Greek. That was the Greek. Yeah, that was.
UC
Oh, what a
Berkeley.
magical night that was.
That was
I
really
very
good.
much
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Yeah. So we're almost out of time here, but what
Yes.
shows are you because
So
I'm
to be
looking
really quickly with it, I do a thing that's maybe unhealthy. I'm not sure where I will to feed my ADHD. I will watch five things kind of at once. So I'll watch Julia on HBO for 20 minutes, and then I'll be like, okay, I've seen enough. I like it. Obviously great show. Gonna go watch Rick and Morty. I watch an entire episode of Rick and Morty, 22 minutes. Then I'll go watch something on Netflix. There's a whole bunch of gay stuff that's a lot of fun to watch.
for like speed dating for content.
Speed dating for content. Red, white, and royal blue. Good gay show for anyone who's not gay, who just needs like a good, fun gay fairy tale in their lives. That's
Always.
and then you'll watch there's different movies. There's stuff on Amazon like Reacher. So I rotate. That's what I've been doing, and I love it. It's great. It's
Heart and spices it up. Yes. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Especially all the followers that don't know us. We like that. Thank you. Tell your friends. Tell
very
your
happy to learn that we have an incredible trust and chemistry that's built up. That's creating a good, fun show that people enjoy watching. So.
yes. And send us that feedback. We like hearing it. We're not egomaniacs. We're just insecure. So please.
Confident in our insecureness.
Yes, exactly. We relish the feedback and keep it coming. Thank you, Internet.
I look forward to seeing what background stuff you have with you, Anne, next time. This time you have that fish, so it's
Yes.
the fish is
Glug glug. Yes.
glug glug with the
It does
flowers.
glug. Yes, it goes glug glug as you. If there was anywhere for me to pour water into, I would.
Nice.
You could hear the glug, 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 glug. But yeah, no, I like to keep it fresh. So thank you everybody for tuning in and
Thanks,
indulge.
everyone. Have a wonderful everything. See ya.